think I've ever talked about it before, but I hate digital releases for movies and games. I hate buying a title and having to just trust that it'll always be there, that it won't be pulled by its distributor, that there won't ever be some rights issue, or that your account and the servers will always work perfectly. I'm not above a quick digital purchase here and there for a bargain, but give me tangible physical media any day. But the biggest problem with games being released digitally is the perpetual threat of delisting. As time goes on, contracts and licenses expire, and games just vanish off of digital storefronts to where they can't be purchased anymore. And if that game didn't have a physical release of some kind to back it up, well, it's just gone forever. Such is the case with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows, not to be confused with the movie of the same title. Released in August of 2013, delisted with the rest of Activision's Ninja Turtles games when the license ran out in 2017. Except Out of the Shadows didn't have a physical release that I'm aware of, so this thing was just gone. Locked out from ever being experienced by new players. This was an Activision game, one of the biggest AAA publishers on the planet, based on one of the biggest media properties around that had been kicking for like 30 years, and it still just vanished off the face of the earth. I've been dying to play and review Out of the Shadows for years, but how do you get a game that doesn't exist anymore? Answer: you get a friend like Schnick who knows a website with safe pirated games, you download the Portuguese version that doesn't need Steam to run, you copy an unusable English copies files into the Portuguese game to get it localized, and voila! Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows in 2025.
Let the disappointment commence. The futon broke and, haven't gone shopping for a replacement yet.
The game opens with a prologue of April making her way through a warehouse while the turtles have some epic battle with a thing that shoots lasers off screen. This is a pretty basic movement tutorial, and by movement, I mean push A to go through everything. And already we're seeing some problems. You can only climb specific terrain that's been preordained by the platforming gods, and trying to climb something you weren't meant to makes April spam repeated dialogue.
Here we go, here we go. Here we go.
And I don't mean to be critical, but April's face looks a little stretched, uncanny, like an alien approximation of human flesh. April gets captured, because it is a Ninja Turtles game after all, and a cutscene takes us to earlier that night as April sends the Turtles out to investigate a series of robberies. Wow, get hyped, huh? I can't remember the last game I played that had less energy in its introduction to get you pumped to dive into the story. Also, the cutscenes. Not only are basically all of the game cinematics made of motionless panels that are drawn in a frankly unimpressive art style, but the game will jarringly cut to these panels multiple times a level. I can't honestly decide if these animations were done because the game had a tight budget, or if they realized that their turtles are horrifying abominations of the damned! These might be the ugliest character models for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that I've ever seen. And I've seen Turtle Toons and the Michael Bay movies. They look like twisted mockeries of flesh from a body horror film. Something crying out in pain to be put out of its miserable existence. That or a weird xenomorph mutation from one of the Alien films. Oy, okay, on with the gameplay. Out of the Shadows has you crossing strictly linear levels until you come across a group of enemies and beat the crap out of them. And being a game from the early 2010s, you can probably guess which popular franchise they tried to copy for the combat. I'll give you a hint, it's Batman!
Are you looking for me?
It's going to be hard to stay mad at a game that makes me dig out Batman Arkham City. Or that gives me a craving for a pizza. It's sausage, pineapple, and green olives. Perfect blend of savory, salty, and sweet.
The combat is clearly trying to ape Arkham Asylum. You have one button to launch attacks, one guard break button like Batman's cape, one dodge button to vault around the arena, and a counter button to react to bright flashing attack prompts. land multiple successful hits in a row to build a combo multiplier that fuels special attacks. You get the picture. Except they hideously mangled Arkham Asylum's combat so badly that I almost wondered if I was reaching comparing the two. The fighting just feels sloppy. Counters barely work since they don't interrupt the overlong combat animations, and you actually have much less time to counter attacks than you do in Arkham. There's no rhythm to attack inputs, like you just mash buttons. Enemies barely react to attacks to where you have to keep wailing on the same guy for several seconds on end, or keep spamming guard breaks because they don't actually break an enemy's guard. And you barely have any idea of what your items or special moves will even do. Special moves tend to be vague area effect attacks, but you have no idea if they'll actually hit something or how effective it'll be. And enemies keep falling to the ground to where, no joke, you either have to wait for them to get back up, or you have to pull them back to their feet yourself with the kick button. There's no takedown for floored enemies. I guess the Turtles are too honorable to power stomp a guy in the junk. Batman Arkham's combat is beautiful in its elegance and precision. You know exactly down to the last detail what every move and gadget in your arsenal does. And Batman locks onto enemies with a mere flick of the control stick to direct him at priority targets at a moment's notice, all of which lets you easily strategize and plan your way through combat on the fly. Here, I feel like I barely know what half the attacks do, and I never feel like the Turtles react with any precision to my inputs. It's like Arkham combat if Batman was stoned, and if he occasionally had to micromanage 3 useless partners! All 4 Turtles are active at all times, and you can freely switch between them, which is good, except midway through the first level, Donatello just dropped dead in the middle of a fight! Because it turns out your AI partner Turtles will take damage when you're not looking. So option A, you can cycle all the Turtles constantly in combat to try and keep them from sucking. Or B, which you'll probably end up doing anyway, blow precious healing items on the stupid-ass computers. And reviving Turtles takes just long enough that the odds are good you'll lose tons of health trying to revive someone, so you're right back where you started. But hey, I'm sure the computer-controlled Turtles are trying their best. They don't need me to do all the work for them, right? Donnie? You know what might actually help there, Donnie? If you did something other than standing still getting your ass kicked! Let's see how Raphael's doing. Oh, good lord. Raphael is still on the rooftop he jumped down from to get to this fight, and the game has him sealed off by invisible walls to where he can't join the encounter. What in the name of hell?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you guys got this. I'll just stay up here on lookout. Look out for pizza.
Finally, this broken-ass fight is over. I think. The combat music's still going and I can't go anywhere. Oh, for the love of pepperoni. There were enemies off to the side who forgot to join the fight and the level won't proceed until I chase them down. You've gotta be shitting me. Every turtle not only has their own health bar, they also have their own block meter, meaning there comes a point where they can't counter or avoid attacks anymore. They also have their own special meters and their own individual inventories, meaning you need to track on your own which turtles have pizza to revive each other because there's no party inventory listed anywhere.
I'd offer you some of mine, but based on my friend's reactions, it would probably just make you feel worse.
The game doesn't even have a heads-up indicator for each turtle's health, so outside of dialogue cues that someone's getting smacked down, you don't know who's in trouble. And the shitty part to all of this is that each turtle also has their own individual skill trees to upgrade their attacks and whatnot. And when you level up, you get 4 skill points. Total! The turtles have to share XP, and only a few upgrades apply to the whole team. So do you pump all the upgrades into your favorite to get them up to snuff? Or do you spread the points around to where everyone sucks, expecting that you'll have to use them all anyway? I'm not sure it matters. I barely noticed most of the upgrades doing crap anyway. I think the best upgrades are the ones that buff your special moves, but I intended to ignore those since I barely know what the special moves do. Oh, and I forgot to mention, being a Batman Arkham clone, the game also has stealth. The way it works is you crouch to sneak up on enemies and press X to insta-kill them, and that's your stealth. Now, which button is the X button? You have to emulate a 360 controller, and I forget where Xbox puts its X button. Oh, crap! Oh, good. There's absolutely zero penalty for screwing up the stealth. And now the tutorial prompt is stuck at the bottom of the screen. This game is so jank, it hurts. If I ran anywhere, the game would sputter like hell, dropping frames left and right trying to keep up with me. And don't get me started on when the EA launcher on my computer just abruptly started up out of nowhere, and the game just kinda died until I closed it. One unique mechanic the game has, though, is that turtles can taunt to grant each other buffs. There is zero on-screen feedback to let you know that a buff is active. You just have to trust that the game's actually working. Considering that I am not touching the controller right now, I am skeptical of the game working. Bitch, stop backflipping off the wall! But sometimes taunting will make the turtles high-five or dance together. I mean, at least it's something fun to play with. The first level has the turtles chasing down purple dragon goons, finding out they're working with the Foot Clan, and they're stealing technology from the Krang aliens. A little odd that they just dump all the turtles' enemies on you at once, but whatever. The weirdest thing about this game is that it's obviously an adaptation of the 2012 Nickelodeon cartoon, but they didn't get any of the cast or music, and they go out of their way to never directly reference the show. In fact, when I copied the files over to localize my copy to English, Nickelodeon's name disappeared from the opening logos. I mean, April's a ponytailed teenager, just like in the show. The Krang are hostile aliens that talk in a third person, like in the show. Donnie's buck-toothed with an open crush on April, like in the show. Splinter, Karai, and Shredder all look identical to their distinctive models from the show. But it's not based on the cartoon. Why would you ever think that? Seriously, here's the Shredder from the game, and here's 4 radically different Shredder designs from assorted media. You can't tell me they didn't steal all their character models from Nickelodeon to save time! Anyway, the first level's long as hell, so the turtles eventually wind up in the sewers and subway where you fight Karai, the Shredder's daughter and lead henchwench. Your attacks barely work on her, there's no health bar to know how things are going or what's working, and she utterly pasted 2 of my partners. I have no idea how this fight is supposed to work. She just died, and I don't know how. The turtles head home, since the game's main menu is the turtles' lair. Then they find out the Foot Clan has their own subway system, which we just fought through in the first level, and they set out to find said system, only to then give up and head back home again. I don't even know what we're doing here anymore. You just fight a bunch of mousers in the sewers. Chapter 2 is pretty boring, since the mousers barely hurt you and are easy as piss to kill. And even the man-sized robots that you fight are pretty much just normal enemies with slightly heavier attacks and more health. The only noteworthy part of the level was getting stuck in the same room for 10 minutes because you have to wander off to a completely unmarked side room and throw a completely unmarked lever to continue the suffering. The level. I guess I could use this time to complain about smaller things, like rampant graphical glitches that keep leaving swords and weapons floating in midair, or how the camera zooms in way too annoyingly close when you're not in combat so you can barely see the level around you, or how the computer turtles will get in your damn way to where Mikey can't grab a pizza that he sorely needs because Leonardo's blocking him like he's trying to force Mikey onto a diet.
I don't have a problem, Leo. I can stop whenever I want.
Or how the turtles will yammer incessantly during levels, even if their dialogue overlaps with cutscene dialogue.
I was supposed to practice sparring today, and I didn't. But I think I understand how so many mountains work so well together.
Seriously, in what I assume to be a substitute for Arkham's radio chatter, the turtles talk all the frickin' time, and you can't get a dialogue exchange to end once it's started. And not only is the dialogue terrible, but some of the exchanges go on forever. Whether it's Leonardo rambling to nobody about what it means being team leader.
Bad guys, we fight. I lead. I know what each of you can do. Gotta make the decisions. Delegate. That's it.
Or Poor Mikey raving about pizza for what has to be a full minute.
You know, pizza isn't just a thing. It's a way of life. There's pepperoni, sausage, bacon, onions, shrimp, pineapple, jalapenos, green chilies, chicken. In New Orleans, they have jungle.
And what's worse is you'll constantly hear the Turtles exchange dialogue that you've already heard, to where I got 2 encores of Mikey's treatise on how pizza is the meaning of life.
You know, pizza isn't just a thing. It's a way of life. It's a world. Extra cheese. That's not really a topping, but everyone acts like it is. Cheese in the crust.
getting close.
Mind close to what? Blown.
Whatever.
The boss of level 2 is, well, Baxter Stockman calls it the Cerberus, but I call it Cyber End Dragon. It's a giant 3-headed mouse robot that shoots lasers. So yeah, that huge epic off-screen fight that they teased in the prologue with April, turns out it was the Turtles just fighting some random meaningless robot. This fight sucks. Unlike the first boss, your attacks don't damage the thing. You have to attack the 4 blue lights on its body until they all turn red. You have no health bar to tell that's what happens, but that still doesn't actually hurt the boss, because once you've hit all 4 lights, then it will lower one of its heads, at which point you haul ass to the front of its body and wail on that head before time runs out until it's destroyed, or else the fight doesn't progress. Missing a single head drop is pretty much a death sentence, since your partners will hemorrhage health non-stop. The Turtles will drop some dialogue explaining how the fight works. Too bad I couldn't actually hear any of it between music and endlessly obnoxiously loud robot roaring noises. And you might say to turn on the subtitles. I did! And they didn't work until I went back and turned them on again! And even once you know how the fight works, it's still a catastrophe trying to kill this thing. One of its weak points is on the back of its tail, and it will back itself against a wall to where it's physically impossible to hit. And one of its weak points is in its stomach, which has crappy hit detection and loads of obstructions to where you basically have to take hits to try and reach it. Constantly spawning enemies will block your path to the boss's heads when you need to hit them, and the creme de la crap? The boss can pin you against the wall to where it's physically impossible to fight! This whole battle is like a crash course on basic shit that a competent designer would have made sure never happens! Oh, I won, but I had to leave Donatello knocked out to conserve health to have any shot of winning.
Yeah, conserving health and totally not hoarding pizza for myself.
And after all that bullshit, Stockman escapes with a jetpack, so you didn't really accomplish dick. The Turtles realize that April's been kidnapped, so we cut back to the lair between levels where April is plainly visible, hanging out on a tire swing. I guess the foot didn't so much kidnap her as give her a ride home. Donatello remembers that earlier they said he put a tracking device in her shoes, honestly pretty prudent given the original cartoon. So they track April to Shredder's hideout, except she's not at Shredder's hideout, she's in your living room!
I'm so confused!
Chapter 3 is pretty much just fighting more identical enemies. Even when they add new enemy types, they still all fight the same aside from just having more health. Contrast with Arkham City, which kept adding dudes that each were only vulnerable to specific attacks for challenging shakeups to enemy configurations and encouraging strategic use of special moves. And yes, the sequel Arkham City is a fair comparison because it came out in 2011, 2 years before this. So Ninja Turtles had time to learn from it. They try to tell you that this is a for-realsy stealth mission. It's not. Nothing happens if you get caught apart from having to fight a few more identical dudes. I think I'll get by. Then again, I just fell through the level terrain. You fight Karai again, and she teleports all over creation to where you can barely land a hit. And even when you do find her, she only takes damage when she feels like it. And the arena where you fight her has 3 separate floors, so I spent most of the battle running around trying to find her in the first place. Aha! I've got you now, Karai, you little... She just fell into a pit.
Brilliant!
There are multiple audio cues implying that you're meant to do this fight as Leonardo, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't make a difference. I think I eventually just got lucky to where all my AI turtles ganged up on her and beat her down for me. You briefly fight the Shredder, and this is where I finally tested out some of the special weapons. You see, as you finish levels, you gain weapon points to unlock and level up one gadget for each turtle, like a gravity gauntlet for Donatello or a super fist for Raphael. And these gadgets do nothing. Unless you then try to use a special move, and now the special moves are all different. Like here, where Mikey's got a long chain whippy thing for ranged attacks. I don't know what this does. Maybe it's just a straight upgrade. Maybe it trades offense for some area effect in range. It's not clear what your attacks do. And then the chain floats alongside him once he's finished using it. What? You didn't expect a game with Activision money to actually work, did you? Shredder runs away and you rescue April, who's just standing in a plexiglass box. Come on, what happened to the foot ninja from days of old? No rope, no duct tape. Do you not know how to treat your hostages anymore? April reveals that Shredder is stealing alien Krang technology to build a super weapon. I think we're meant to assume she just overheard all of this, which begs the question why the Foot kidnapped her in the first place, since they just threw her in a box where she could overhear all their plans. This is why you always tie up the hostage. And Donnie makes the brilliant deduction that they're headed for the TCRI building, the one place we all know the Krang hang out all the time. What would we do without you? It took me about an hour to get through the Krang hideout. This level is so drawn out and padded. I finally got my wish for enemy variety, since the Krang will fire guns at you, but unlike Batman, who can knock enemies' guns out of their hands or break their weapons outright, here you just have people shooting at you the entire time you're trying to fight. Not helped by the fact that the Krang are all damage sponges to where fighting them takes forever. And yes, the computer turtles cannot fight the Krang worth a shit. Literally the first fight of the level, Mikey complained that he was out of block meter and Raphael was almost dead. So now you have to waste pizzas and micromanage your turtles even more to keep your meat shields up and running.
Ugh, fine if it'll keep you from dying. Here, take the pizza. Take it. Here, take it. Take it. I don't care if you don't like the toppings. Take the freaking pizza!
Oh, and you know that little mini game where you draw lines to connect blocks without any of the lines intersecting each other? I really hope you like that game because you have to do it every single time that you want through a locked door. And there are a lot of locked doors in the Krang building. So you're going to have to keep doing this crap if you want all the spare gadgets and pizzas. And trust me, you do.
I wonder what toppings the Krang put on their pizza. There's got to be someone out there that actually likes anchovies for all the restaurants to carry it.
Oh yeah, the gadgets. You can pick up shuriken, electric shuriken, grenades, and EMP grenades in the levels, except the grenades don't really do much of anything because they sit on the ground for ages before they explode. You have no control over how they're thrown. It's basically 2 rounds of roulette to see if they actually hit something. Shuriken are mildly useful for building your combo to use turtle power special moves, but honest to crap, I haven't noticed the electric shuriken doing anything special over the basic models. For crap's sake, this combat is so tedious. Oh, wait, what the hell? Okay, there's a big room where you have to shut down the Krang's dimensional portal, and for one of the fights, Michelangelo and Raphael got stuck on the elevator. How is Raphael, the turtle most often characterized with rage issues, the one who keeps glitching to sit out fights? There's a battle at the bottom of this room that went on for, I shit you not, 10 full uninterrupted minutes of Krang spawning non-stop. I thought there had to be a special objective, like I was supposed to stop a transporter or something, but no. Fighting identical enemies for 10 minutes straight is exactly what the designers intended. Cram in so many enemies, the player wonders if the damn game is broken. Eventually, you have a rematch with Shredder, who dodges so many attacks that I have no idea how the fight actually works. My best guess is that you're meant to use special attacks against him, which kinda sucks since the special attacks have to charge in mid-combat. And they don't exactly home in on enemies, so you don't even know if they'll land in the first place. But then Stockman reveals the Shredder's diabolical new super weapon, a helmet that gives him mild telekinesis. Wait, that's it? I was expecting a doomsday laser or a helicarrier. I don't think a shitty little helmet's gonna drive the story. Why is this boss fight still going? Oh no. Oh no, please tell me this isn't the final boss. I'm on level 4. I've barely been playing more than 3 hours. This cannot be the end of the game already. I'm down to my last turtle. I don't want to have to repeat this damn fight. I need to pull this out. Crap! I fell through the floor. Oh, phew. That was too close. April called earlier to tell me that EMP grenades will stun Shredder and each turtle can hold one, so here goes nothing! Fuck! I tilted the control stick at Shredder and Leo hucked it clear in the wrong direction! But luckily I found some pizza stashed in the corner of the arena.
Because the only feeling more satisfying than defeating Shredder is stealing Shredder's pizza.
I have no idea how, but I won. And in what is probably a cosmic coincidence, the Turtles finish off Shredder in a cutscene by using their finisher from Injustice 2. The Turtles smash Shredder's new helmet and just go home, not even capturing Shredder or taking him to the cops. Shredder and the Krang both swear revenge and yep! That's the end of the game! 4 levels padded to Kingdom Come and eat shit!
That's it? I promised Schnick in exchange that I'd review the Crow City of Angels, and that's it? I need a pizza. Sorry.
I'm sorry, maybe I set myself up for failure expecting more from a next-gen AAA published game on one of the biggest media franchises to ever exist than 4 levels, 3.5 hours, and 0 replay value! And just to punctuate how mismatched the game feels, the song that plays over the end credits is Turtle Power from the end of the first live-action Ninja Turtles movie. A song that recaps the movie, meaning it doesn't even slightly line up with the game you just played. And if you'll indulge me, I need to go on a tangent for a second here. Raphael was pretty much the main character of the first live-action Ninja Turtles film, so when it came time to write a theme song for that movie, they got someone who knew nothing about Ninja Turtles, went off the script, and wrote in the lyrics calling Raph the team leader. And then 23 years later, that song finds its way into a video game, and it's still wrong!
Make up the team with one other fellow, Raphael. He's the leader of the group.
The game does have a few other modes, like the arcade mode. At first it looks like a kinda fun throwback to the old Ninja Turtles games of yore, but then you fight Karai, who still teleports and only takes damage when she feels like it, and then you fight man-sized mousers that spam unblockable rapid-fire attacks, and you realize arcade mode is just the same shitty campaign again with a different camera, limited lives, and having to play it all in one sitting. Seriously, it doesn't save your progress. Also, this arcade mode was where I started to piece together why the combat is such crap. Enemies will move to surround you at all times. In an Arkham game, that's normal. But in a shitty Arkham knockoff where you can't easily incapacitate enemies and the counters barely work and everyone takes a ton of concentrated attacks to put down, being constantly surrounded means tedious dodging and dying all the time. I think the arcade mode was built solely for multiplayer co-op because you need meat shields to divert the enemies to keep this Drek halfway playable. And then of course there's a challenge mode where you fight groups of enemies in a small environment in 4 rounds for a high score, exactly like in the Arkham games. And it's the same problem as the arcade mode. Unless you have a super move ready, you can barely fight more than 1 dude at a time. So yeah, there are other modes you can play to extend the game and get your hypothetical money's worth, but you won't play them unless you're a total masochist. Jeez, it's no wonder that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows has been buried. The game's so half-assed, I'm surprised it saw the light of day in the first place. Inexcusably short on content, repetitive and padded as hell, barely a story, and the entire game is built out of sloppy combat that it feels like you can barely control. And yeah, I know that Xbox Live Arcade-esque titles tended to be lower tier releases with much less content, but this was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles published by one of the biggest companies around. You're telling me they couldn't scrape together a budget or aim for some actual standards? Well, I finally played it, and I must say, it exceeded all my worst expectations.
That's it. It's about knowing your strengths and knowing that your brothers are gifted. It's about us working together to take down evil. We're powerful. We empower. Do you feel empowered?
Is he still talking?
I am feeling empowered to run away.
He said I was gifted.
All the more reason.